Hi, welcome back for part 2 of the Creality Space Pi filament dryer. Sorry about the noise, but I got Frank printing some stuff in the background there. Obviously it's a large print, 22 hours, so I wanted to get this done, and that way you could see the outcome. So over a week of testing on the filament dryer, controls have been very easy. Obviously I was able to set the temperatures for the filament types that I was trying. Obviously starting with the guide amount, so like with PLA I would drop it from 50C down to like 42 to 45. I did push it to its absolute maximum with some nylon, which it absolutely caned it. It really was successful. Absolutely happy with that. But yeah, PLA plus, PET-G, and then I went extreme and obviously threw some nylon in. And in each case, obviously it was able to dry the filament. These are ones that I've had on the shelf for a while, so I knew that they needed drying anyway, and it worked really well. Drying times are fairly quick, obviously because of it almost feels like forced air. It circulates the air so well in that chamber. I will agree with a couple of things that I've read about them, because I did some research while testing it. Obviously the chamber will trap moisture as it comes out of the spool. So there's a little part you can find on printables. Just search Creality Space Pi on printables. You'll find a little model that holds it open by about 2 millimeters. And I found out that this works because I tried a spool that was 220 millimeter diameter, and I found that it would not close. And I thought maybe I'd done something, but it turned out the back of the spool was rubbing here on the back of the lid, causing it not to fully close. And I noticed that it actually dropped the relative humidity a lot quicker with that being open. So that was actually a pleasant confirmation. So anything over 200 millimeters diameter, you will have that problem. If it's larger, it's not going to fit. It'll keep it open way too wide, and you'll lose heat as well. Wattage wise, peaks on about 250, 260 watts when it's initially heating. Once it reaches temperature, it'll drop down to like 6 watts, and then occasionally pulse to about 150. I'll have some slides obviously and a small video showing what I've just described following this intro. But overall, it's actually a decent dry box. It's not overly complicated. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles. It gives you a temperature, it gives you a time, and after the preset drying cycles are done, if you want to go back and tap the little settings button obviously and say give it 2 hours, give it 4 hours, whatever, you can just go and it'll pick up with whatever the temperature setting that you had last, and it'll run for that period of time and then shut off. So overall, very, very well designed. The only thing I don't think a lot of people are going to get on with is because of where they like to put their dry boxes. Obviously the outlet for the PTFE is here. I'm sure a person could probably modify and put a hole at the bottom center back here, but I would personally say if you're going to modify it so it can feed out the back, put it up here. There's a little molding point where the injection molding of the polycarbonate shell was done, because one of the aspects is that the hot air coming around obviously is going to literally go from the back. I found it actually blows from the back of the spool up and around and then circulates in through the front. So you'll want to put up here on the back if you're going to use that method. That I think should work fine, and you won't have to worry about losing any value to it. I would obviously say whatever you see fit as far as putting the hole there, but at least big enough to fit a PTFE, so maybe an M6 drill bit and a rubber grommet just to hold on to that, or a couple of zip ties, just something that'll keep that PTFE tube from going in or out too easily. But other than that, I think that's probably one of the only things I could see people not overly keen on, is that backward reverse loading concept, but that's easy to get around depending on how you want to place it in relation to where your printer is, or if you don't mind putting a small hole, like I said, here, and have your PTFE come in from the back side, which is sometimes more ideal and kind of falls in line with the original Creality box, which is up on the shelf in the back, where you can just about see it. But needless to say, it's really done well. So with that, I'll leave you to seeing the slides following this, and I hope you've enjoyed and found it informative. I'm definitely going to be continuing to put it through its paces for my single line prints, because this is only a single version. There is a dual spool for those of you who have multiple extruder, or you would like to dry a spool while printing from another. You can also just plug the hole. It's got a little rubber grommet, you know, that already has a little hole plug. You can just use that just for drying if you want, and it can handle pretty much any material you could throw at it, bar maybe peak plastic or something like that. Okay, well, I hope you all enjoyed this. I found it incredibly, you know, neat to see this latest box, obviously from Creality. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to give it its paces in my printing life, and I hope this information has been well enough for you to be, you know, wanting one of these or one like it, if that's the case. You know, I think this box here will fit most people's needs material wise, and it's reasonably priced from all the places that I looked to find where it can be bought. It's a little bit more than obviously the bare bones minimal ones that only literally just have a timer and a fixed temperature, but not by much. It's enough that I'd say stretch that extra, you know, $10 or so, maybe 20, depending on where you're at in the world, to get that extra level of control, so time and obviously temperature, for your filament drying needs. Enjoy. Okay, it seems I've found its limit. This is a 202 millimeter spool, and it actually causes it to hold it open a little bit, which, I mean, to be fair, that's not too bad because it lets some of that trapped humidity out. But if you were doing this to obviously print, this could be a problem, because ultimately that spool would rub the back of the casing on the inside and ultimately cause wear, both to the spool and to the dry box itself. So I would say anything over 200 millimeters, you're probably not best, unless you're just going to be drying it only.